Hello, everyone. I'm back with another video. I want to make a video tonight about the image of God, what it means to be made in the image of God. Um, I talked about in my last video. If you haven't seen that last video, it was about hell and demons and whether or not people are still going to hell and whether demons are still roaming the earth. And um, I think I have an interesting view on that. So go and watch that video. And I'm going to start leaving links in my videos and below and stuff and descriptions and things like that. Like I said, I just started YouTube. I'm still getting used to all this stuff. So bear with me. But um, I wanted to make this video. I talked about Genesis and how I wanted to talk more about Genesis. And there's a lot of interesting things in Genesis. Um, in terms of uh, Adam and Eve in the garden in Genesis 6 especially really fascinates me. And I talked about wanting to make a series on it. I don't know if I'm going to make a series on it right now. Maybe I'll make a few videos. I'm not sure yet. But today in this video, I want to talk about being made in the image of God and what that means. I'm titling this video, We Were Divine Beings, and how we've been lied to about who we really were and what our true identity is. In Christianity today, it's taught that we're not human beings. God did not create human beings to be divine. We were just human. We weren't divine. God is the only divine being. Um, and I'm just here to tell you that I just disagree with that. In the story of Genesis, when we look at God creating mankind, human beings, Adam and Eve, we see that he made Adam in God's image. Now, what does that mean? I want to talk about what it means to be made in God's image. There are a few different interpretations of what it means to be made in God's image. Some theologians and scholars think it means that we were made in his essence. That it's talking about the image of God in essence. Some think it's talking about the image of God in role. That our role was to rule over creation. It shows in uh, Genesis 1, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, and things like that. Others interpret it as there are other views on it. I can't think of off the top of my head, but those are the two main views. And for me, I just don't understand why they both can't be the case or all views can't be correct. Why can't they all be true? I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be compatible. The reason why that's important is because if we were made in God's image and in essence and in role, what that means is that we were made divine, that we were divine in essence, and we had a divine role, meaning we were divine beings. When we look in the text of Scripture in Genesis and we see God creating Adam, and in Genesis 2, verse 8, we see that when God makes Adam from the dust, he makes him from the dust of the earth, and then he sets him in the garden. Okay, in verse 8, he planted a garden and he set Adam in the garden. Now, a lot of us just go by that and, we read that and we don't think there's anything significant in that. But there's actually something very significant. When God sets Adam in the garden, Adam is essentially ascending to the garden. He's ascending to a higher state, a transcendent state. The garden in ancient mythology is, we see in different mythologies, Mesopotamian mythologies and things like that. We see the idea of this cosmic mountain or this garden city, and or this the idea of the cosmic mountain and things like that, um, is is really what the garden is. It's the cosmic mountain. The Garden of Eden is the cosmic mountain. And the cosmic mountain, if you read in ancient mythologies, it's where the gods dwell. That's weird. It's we see in Greek mythology, Olympus, Mount Olympus, and other different mythologies. There's these mountains and things like that. And even in Norse mythology, um, I believe in Odin and Asgard, and Asgard was seen as the realm of the gods, and there is this ascended area and things like that. You see this in mythologies and things like that, and the garden is the Bible's version of that. It's just the true version. It's the real life version. It's the version that isn't a myth. That's real. And so Adam was in the garden, and it was this cosmic mountain where the council of the gods, where the gods dwelled. If the gods dwelled in the cosmic mountain and Adam and Eve were in the cosmic mountain, then why don't we conclude that Adam was divine, that he was a god? Meaning that the Adamic race were the gods. That's what I'm trying to say, that we were the gods. Now, I don't think that we are direct descendants. Human beings that live on Earth today are direct descendants from Adam and Eve. And I want to get into that in another video, in terms of where we came from and how we are different from the Adamic race. But right now, I just want to stay on this topic of the garden and being made in God's image. Being made in the image of God, you see the connection if it means being made in his image. That we were divine in essence, we were divine in role. We dwelt upon this cosmic mountain, which was known as the realm of the gods, the realm between heaven and earth, this in-between realm where God can come down and speak with us in the garden, and we as human beings watched over God's creation, the animals and things like that. We were given authority over the earth, over the animals, the plants, and all these things. That makes sense, that we were the gods. We were the gods that watched over creation, God's creation. We were the messengers, the angels, if you will. We were angels. An angel is just a role. It's a role that we're given. It's the role of a messenger, the role of a watcher, a judge, or a ruler. That's what the word God typically refers to. It refers to a judge or a ruler. It's typically talking about angels. That title can be given to human beings. And we see that the title is also given to the sons of God in Genesis 6. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the sons of God in Genesis 6 and who they were. I'm going to talk about that in upcoming videos, in an upcoming video. I don't know if it'll be the next video, I'll see. But we were those divine beings. We were the gods. I mean, that's amazing. And the church tells us that, we weren't divine. We were just puny, humans, that, we were made on the earth. When we look in scripture, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was not the dwelling place of humans. God did create Adam from the dust of the earth, but then in verse 8, Genesis chapter 2, verse 8, he ascends to the garden. He sets him in the garden. Therefore, he's no longer on the earth. So who dwelled on the earth? Who was what was the dwelling? Whose dwelling place was the earth? The animals dwelled on the earth. The dwelling place of the animals is the earth. The dwelling place of human beings was the cosmic garden, this ascended mountain, this heavenly realm, this unseen heavenly realm uh, above the earth, which was known as the garden. That was us. That was the descendants of Adam. Again, we're not direct descendants. I don't believe we're direct descendants of Adam. And again, I'll talk about why in the future. But God still, that's something that we human beings can, and God does want us to achieve. He does want to redeem us and bring us back there and give us that privilege of having that if we want it. And so this is important because it means that, especially when it comes to heaven, and how many people think heaven's going to be this boring place? You are God, or God is. He's giving you the privilege of being a God, divine being. It's anything but boring. And so we need to understand, just Christians tend to have a very low view of humanity, that we were these lowly creatures created from the dust, and we were pathetic and all this. No. Okay. When God created man, we were a perfect unity of the angels and the animals. So we were like the animals in the sense of we had physical bodies, we could procreate, but we were like the angels in that we were divine and we had supernatural abilities and we had a divine role and of the divine essence. I know many of you might be thinking, if we were gods, then that means there isn't one God, and that's polytheism and things like that. But I just want you to understand that that's not necessarily the case, because when we look in scripture and the Bible talks about God, it uses the word God, um, even refers to plural or singular, but it's referring to the creator. It's talking about an activity or an energy. It's not talking about his essence. Okay? When he uses the word God, it's usually referring to his activity, to his role as a ruler or judge over the earth. The essence of God is a mystery. We don't know what God is in essence. He's not divine. He transcends everything. He transcends divinity. Okay? God's not divine in essence. He's divine in his energies. He's divine in his activities, but not in his essence. We don't know what God is. God's essence is this mysterious universal that we can't wrap our heads around. He transcends everything we can imagine or conceive of. He isn't divine. He transcends it. We were the divine beings in essence, or the descendants of, or Adam and his descendants were. Not God. God is not divine. So I know that might seem like a weird thing to say, but for 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 4 says that we are partakers of the divine nature. That's what scripture says. We're partakers of the divine nature. Now some scholars say, well, that's talking about the energies. Yeah, we do partake of the energies. The energies make us divine in essence. We're one with the energies of God in essence and in role. So it's not saying that we're identical to God in essence. No, we're not identical to God in essence, because God is not divine in essence. But we were divine in essence. Okay, God transcends that. So it's not polytheism, because God's not divine. He's greater than that. Now, this might seem, again, like a weird view. Maybe you've never heard it before. Like I said, that's what this video is about, to give you unique ideas and to help you think more deeply about these things and to consider views maybe you haven't heard before. Um, but I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to talk more about this in the future. Um, but I'm going to make another video. My next video is going to be something about Genesis. Haven't prepared it yet, but I'm going to. But you need to know that you are a divine being. We're not that now. We're fallen. Okay, we're not divine now. Okay, but He does want us to make it back there. That's what the redemption is about. That's why He wants to redeem us. He wants us to return there. It's so much more exciting than what you think. You had these supernatural capabilities, and even after the fall, when Adam fell, and when Adam fell, you see, a lot of Christians think that the fall means that we fell into sin. It motivates you to want to seek God. It motivates you to want to return there, to do what you have to do to return there, and obviously that's important. So, yeah, but I want you guys to think about this. I'm going to make another video, probably tomorrow, maybe, more about Genesis. I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about, but it's going to be something around this idea. And yeah, I want you guys to ponder this and let it encourage you and motivate you to return to what you were, a divine being, a supernatural being. And that what He wants from us is that. He wants to give us that back. Trying to figure out what we're going to be in our redeemed state is motivating. So let it motivate you. So yeah, I guess I'll just end it here. But ponder these things and subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. Yeah, come back and see you. I'll see you in the next video. So.